Hello, good evening and welcome. Yes, it must be midweek again. It's Wednesday evening. My name's Dave Parkinson. This is, of course, the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League show. Once more, I'm joined by Mr. Steve Beech. And Steve, I tell you what, we've had a cracking couple of weeks, haven't we?
Well, absolutely superb, absolutely superb. And the other thing is as well, we were talking, I think, last week about it being Friday Night Lights.
Okay.
It's Wednesday Night Lights for us this time, isn't it?
It is. I mean, we're once again sat in your back garden, and I've got to say, I couldn't think of a better place to be honest. So we're all lit up. It's a summer night.
We never thought we'd be here in September.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I noticed that we've still not been, totally brave.
No, it's a slight jump of weather, but yeah.
It's still much, much better. So if you can in the background hear the occasional tweet of a bird,
yeah,
it's not somebody sending us a tweet message. It will be a bird.
Yeah, you might see the odd car.
Yeah, we might do. Yeah. There could be agricultural vehicles going past us.
There could well be, because I think the field next door is due for being ploughed and reseeded. So it wouldn't surprise me.
But we will crack on and What a week! First of all, I mean, it's. I know we went live, didn't we, last week, and we've had another commentary, to sort of talk of as well, haven't we? So we've now got a couple under our belts.
Yeah, and I must admit, I've really enjoyed them, and it's really looking good for us moving forward, because obviously, again, like we said, we're learning from it ourselves. I mean, technically speaking, and sort of obviously from my point of view, I'm not used to doing it, but I'm enjoying doing it.
Yeah.
And it's great to find out different ways of how to approaching to doing the sort of co-commentary or whatever it's called.
And as we are often quick to point out, we're not the BBC.
No, not at all.
But we do try and sound as best as we can, don't we?
Well, the thing is, we've got no axes to grind. We've got no agendas. We call it as we see it. At the end of the day, I think that's the best thing we can say.
So where did your weekend take you then, Steve?
Well, this weekend I went back to the old stomping ground because Newton took on Goulburn in the North West Men's and nipped over there. They've not played for a few weeks because of various reasons, forfeits, etc., and obviously other things. Feisty game as always, and we'll go into the details a little bit later on, because there was some interesting things went on, and it wasn't specifically the actual rugby game.
Well, I can't wait to hear all about that, to be honest. Where I was at the weekend, it was over at Heworth. We had a brilliant welcome from the club, so I've got to really pay tribute to Heworth for the way that they hosted the Hour League broadcast. They got everything sorted. They even put a little gantry up for us so that the cameras could get a good view of the pitch. And I've got to pay personal tribute as well to Kev Brown, who came on board and did the commentary alongside me from Egremont.
Yeah,
what a top fella.
Yeah,
what a great club, and ultimately what a fantastic game and advert it was for National Conference League Division 1. So I'll tell you all about that. But if I may, I want to start us off with the Holman Igglesand Premier Division. So we're in Cumbria, and again, thanks to Lorraine for sending all of this information through. It helps give us so much more depth when we discuss, what goes on elsewhere, if we have a few notes to refer to, and it really does go a long way. So on Friday, Kells A6, Lauker 40. The referee was Rob Ainsworth, who I remember him being a Lee Association referee many moons ago. I think he's now living up in Cumbria. I remember seeing him. He used to work at Lee Library. So isn't it amazing the sort of things that you find out about people and what have you? I don't go stalking people, by the way. It just does it happen.
I'm surprised libraries are still going,
Oh, they are. I work out of one every Wednesday. So Kells had just the one try to cheer through Corey Chambers. That was converted by Dan Starkey. And then for Lauker, Mitch Todd, he's a guy that we mention week in, week out. He's having one heck of a season. He scored 4 tries in this game. Evan Hodgson added 2. Emerson Allen scored 2 with conversions, 4 of them going the way of Evan Hodgson. So he had a busy day, didn't he? 4 goals and 2 tries. Mitch Todd invariably got the Man of the Match award. And the little note that goes alongside that says the only scorers in the first half were, after 10 minutes, Emerson Allen, and Lauker followed by Kelsey's Corey Chambers after 28 minutes. And in the second half, Mitch Todd scored the first of his 4 tries on 42 minutes, following that up after 59, 76 and 78 respectively, and Emerson Allen scored his second on 57 minutes. Evan Hodgson chips in with his second after 67 minutes. So the other game to tell you about that took place at the weekend featured Woughborough Hornets A side against Ellenborough A. 26 points to 0 to Woughborough at half time. This one, the referee was Neil Byers, and the try scorers for Woughborough, who finished winning by 48 points to 6, went the way of Liam Mattinson. He grabbed 2. Jack Megan, Luke Spivey, Jamie McAllister, Peter Caddy, Daly Stables, Brad Whittam and Kevin Christian all scored 1 try each. For Ellenborough, they had a try from Lewis Fearon that was converted by Rocco Occusini, who we've mentioned a couple of times in our roundups over the course of the season. And it said, the little write-up on this one said, Woughborough A scored a number of good tries and quite a number of different players managed to get on the score sheet. The outstanding try of the night was won by Daly Stables, who forced his way through a number of tackles, hopping and skipping past others to score right under the sticks, to add to Brow's tally soon after the start of the second half. Ellenborough's only try, that consolation, came after 75 minutes. Unfortunately, there was no game between Hensingham and Egremont. Egremont had no team that they could name. And Cockermouth against Dissington was also off because Cockermouth couldn't raise a team, with the game being awarded to Dissington. So that's your roundup from the Holman Igglesand Premier Division up in Cumbria. Again, we've got to thank Lorraine for sending through those notes, as she does on a regular basis. But yeah, great to sort of like see that, to be fair. And well, I want to reflect on National Conference League, if I may, first of all, Steve, moving on.
Yeah, no problem, mate.
So obviously I talked about being over at Egremont, over at Heworth, I should say, for the game against Egremont. And I've got to say, this was a brilliant game. And it helps if I've actually got those notes in front of me, first of all, doesn't it? So this could already be the first mess up of the evening.
Got to say though, Parky, I think last week we discussed this game, and I said, obviously having seen Egremont play, that I know what sort of machine they can be. So it doesn't surprise me. The standard of the game and the results at the end of the day, because both teams have been playing really well.
I don't know about machine. I think they just play some bloody good rugby league, to be honest. So Egremont Rangers, they're back in the National Conference Premier Division after a thrilling win against Heworth in front of the Our League cameras on Saturday. Continuing the tradition of entertaining games, this was a tremendous advert for the National Conference League, with breathtaking attack and committed defence in equal measure. From Sam Appleby's opener right through to the final whistle, there were thrills galore. Both sides tested each other early on before a Heworth error resulted in a scrum on their own 40-metre line. And Egremont, confidently, the top scorers in the division, moved play left, and Mark Tyson did enough to create space for Appleby to see it away. The excellent Christian Tyson converted, but the hosts were soon on the scoreboard themselves when some superb link work gave George Elliott a running chance, and he crossed at the corner. Aaron Turnbull was just tackled short of the line for Egremont, and Heworth grew in confidence. And although there was an element of luck in their second try, the way they transitioned was impressive. Danny Allen attempted to thread a kick through, which took a bounce off Egremont legs. Tyler Craig was quickest to respond and drifted left before releasing the pass for Adam Dent to step back inside for the score after 26 minutes. The visitors retook the lead after an error, and the elusive Fraser McNee split the defence and raced clear to the corner from 45 metres for his 6th try of the season. Tyson goaled superbly, and it was 8 points to 12. Egremont spilt the restart, and Heworth responded brilliantly with crossfield passing before Craig bounced through 2 tackles to score and ensure the game went to half time at 12 points each. Heworth had the better of the opening period of the second half and took an 18-12 lead when Fraser West zipped over out wide from Allen's pass and George Elliott goaled. A tough tackle from Allen on Mitch Edwards brought a reaction, and when a mass of players came together, Jack Sadler threw the ball into the melee and was sin-binned by referee Mark Brocklehurst. So Sadler was having an impressive cameo in that game right up until that point. Plays for Heworth, very will-o'-the-wisp sort of hooker.
Yeah.
But he just lost his head at that certain point. So, there's a bit of a melee, all the players coming together. And next thing you know, Sadler's running past and he threw the ball into the middle of it. So referees just go, you can go off for 10 minutes, son.
Yeah.
So he's got sin-binned. And then 3 tackles after the tap penalty, Captain Kieran Glenn stepped and then surged his way over from close range for Egremont, and Tyson's third goal locked the game up at 18 points each. On the hour, McNee threatened again on the back of Brad Long's offload. He was tackled high, and Christian Tyra stepped up to add the penalty goal and nudged the visitors in front by 18 points to 20. A leg injury to Tyson threatened to derail Egremont, especially in the face of a committed Heworth effort, which included excellent play from Liam Richmond, West, Liam Watlin and Luke Prenty. After 5 minutes, however, Tyson returned, and this had a galvanising effect on the visitors. Heworth then saw Alan sin-binned for a shoulder charge in the 72nd minute, and 4 minutes after that, Tyson thrilled the crowd, winning the race to his own kick for his 12th try of the season. He also added his 5th goal of the game to stretch the advantage out to 26 points to 18, but Heworth ensured there would be a nervous ending when George Elliott grabbed his second in lightning support of Craig from West's kick. Sadler goaled in quick time, but the clock ran out and Egremont celebrated the 24-26 win and promotion, with Heworth now set for the playoffs. This was a tremendous advert, a fantastic game. The first half was all about the attack. There was 5 tries scored in total. The second was all about defence. There was some punishing defence, and it took, to be fair, 2 kicks to kind of split the defence, if you're looking at it, in more of a and then in Christian Tyson, Egremont have one of the outstanding players that has been playing Division 1 this season. A multi-skilled player, can play across a variety of positions. His kicking game was absolutely deadly. Kicked 5 goals from 5 attempts, crossed for that all-important try as well, and you could see them visibly shaken when he had to come off with a leg injury.
Yeah.
But fair credit to the physio for Egremont, because she worked tirelessly on Tyson for the next sort of 5 minutes, getting him all strapped up and ready to go out again. And I think he played the last 10 minutes on adrenaline, to be fair, because I saw him afterwards and he could hardly move.
I'm not surprised,
but yeah, an absolutely tremendous advert. Heworth played their full part as well. They're a decent side, and to be fair as well, if things go perhaps as Heworth might want and might be expected from league position, you would be expecting Heworth to be the team that would fight their way through. Yeah. And I don't mean that in disrespect to anybody else, but they'll probably get this played out in the dressing rooms and come back to haunt me.
Yeah.
I really rate this Heworth side, and it just shows to me how far that they have come from the start of the season, because I saw them in the very first game in Division 1 where they were playing against Ince Rose Bridge. And Ince Rose Bridge kind of won it in late fashion, strangely enough, thanks to a chip and chase kick. So you could say there was a couple of similarities.
Yeah.
But I just think they've come on so much. They've got Fraser West, the fullback, he's an outstanding player. And I also think as well that they've got a lad called Prenty who came in off the bench, who gave them plenty, to be fair. He was absolutely tremendous, so hard to handle, very, very good. And I think they can go deep into these playoffs. Yeah. And I think that they're the team that we're looking at for getting promoted.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good game to take them into the playoffs, isn't it? Because it was a playoff type match in that respect, wasn't it?
And they've still got one game left, to be honest. So they've got to go over to Alton Raiders, which they'll play under similar circumstances. Obviously, Alton are a team themselves that are very, very useful in that division. But it just sets it up really nicely. I'm pleased for Egremont because, having seen what's happened to the other 2 relegated sides from the Premier Division, so let's just turn your attentions back. We've got Pilkington Rex, who have been relegated from Division 1.
That's right, yeah.
We've got Thornhill Trojans, who've been relegated from Division 1. So you know, if you don't get it quite right, or you don't quite get your rebuild job done,
that's right,
then you could end up fighting at the wrong end of the table, you know. So for Egremont to turn things round as they have done, he's full of credit. I'm full of credit for what they've done. And as you pointed out, the way that they play as well. They play an entertaining, exciting brand of rugby. They've got Fraser McNee at the back, he's one of the bravest rugby league players that I'm sure there is, because there's no fear there.
Yeah, and there's no size to him either, is there?
There is no size. He's absolutely tiny, but he's bombing it back at 150 miles an hour, really forcing players twice his size back in the challenge, and just doing, you know, a really good job. But I think it's a case of a lot of players knowing exactly what they offer and what they can give. Okay, so that's my thoughts on both of those sides. But what about the thoughts of winning coach? We caught up with John Wells, and this is what he had to say. Well, I'm speaking to John Wells. This is after your Egremont Rangers side, John. Were tremendous today. They've won by 26 points to 24 to bounce back into the Premier Division at the first opportunity. How can you describe it?
Oh, it was an absolute cracking game, and I think like both teams, Heworth, like big contributors to the game and the spectacle, but both teams, I don't think myself or the Heworth coach could have asked for any more from the players. The effort and determination on show to like get a foothold in the game and wrestle some points. It was like absolutely marvellous. So great for the guys on that were able to watch it on the Our League stream.
It's certainly one of the most enjoyable games that I've had the pleasure of commentating on over recent weeks, you know, and certainly recent months. But at risk of being, you know, very cliche, it was a game of two halves. So the first half was all about the attack. The second was all about the desperation of the defence, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think today, like I mentioned about like kind of the efforts and like the extra efforts that both teams put in, and I think that was them both maybe feeling the pressure of the occasion. You know, there was a lot at stake today, and the fact that you guys were here with the cameras as well, and there's an upcoming tour, and I'm sure there'll be a couple of Heworth lads there. There's certainly a couple of hours there that are in the mix to try and get on that tour. But yeah, I just thought like it was almost as if when we felt that we were running out of time, it was just like just steady things up a bit. And so, yeah, it was, like you said, it was a game of two halves, and some real good rugby on show and that. But at the same time, the second half, as I said, just the aggression and determination, you know, to not concede or to get over the line or whatever, you know, it was absolutely second to none from both teams.
I mean, there was a time in that second half where it just seemed you was defending wave and wave and wave. You couldn't hold on to the ball for about 3 or 4 minutes, could you, in 3 or 4 sets?
Yeah, so really frustrating. And I know that we got the ball back a couple of times in our own 10. And then our first carry, Pat, 13, he brings the ball out, and because he wanted to speed that ruck up, he put the ball down on his point and lost it. And then we give them the ball back, and they scored off that. And then it was somewhat similar when the Heworth pivot player got sin-binned. We scored right on the back of that on their line, and really it was you were almost scared to make a mistake, because the other team were more than capable, whichever team it was, to capitalise on it.
There were some wonderful skills on show as well, and I want to pay credit to perhaps the smallest man on the field, Fraser McNee, because he was absolutely tremendous for your side. He just picked up everything, bombed it back at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, well, Fraser's a special player, a special wee fella as well. He's like you wouldn't think it, like we keep on talking about when he takes that ball back in and like kind of playing some footwork, you know, because normally when he's bringing it back, he has got a little bit of grass either side of a defender. But Fraser being Fraser's absolute warrior, and he just goes full tilt. So you'd think he plays as if he's about 6'2", but he's 5'7" Fraser, but he's got a heart like that. And I thought he was absolutely outstanding today.
And we talked a little bit before I pressed the record button about your front row as well. At times that was, well, they just didn't get tired. You know, you've got Horner who just goes on and on and on. Telford's distribution out of dummy half. Corrie comes on and adds a little bit of his magic as well. And then Kieran Glenn, the old soldier that he is. Probably the try that he scored turned the game in your favour, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely. You know, that try right in the sticks. It was like a double whammy for Heworth, wasn't it? Because they just got a lad sin-binned. And then we scored right in the back of that, under the sticks. Christian Tyson was great with his kicking game today. And he was splitting the back three really well, and he wasn't going to miss any cover. I think he missed one actually, but I think that was a turning point, because all of a sudden then the Heworth lads are trudging back to kick off again, one man down, giving us the ball back. And then lo and behold, we give them the ball back on the first play right after that. But it was just that, I think there was a lot of pressure on both teams today, Dave. And but like, credit to them, I thought they were both teams were absolutely excellent today. What a spectacle!
Now, I remember speaking to you about 18 months ago when you was still in the Premier Division at that particular point, and you were saying you were going through a period where it was like almost fitting square pegs in round holes. Yeah. But now you look like you've got a team that they know the roles, they know what they're doing. They've obviously been tremendous. We commented as well about the point scoring prowess of your side as well. Yeah.
Well, last year I think like more. I talk with Paul Couch and Alan Coleman that regular, you know, and Paul on a weekly basis, and we knew where we were last year. It was a real tough time, and all like, especially experienced coaches, we've all been through that. Where you stick with your club because that's where you come from, and you try to make it better. But we had last season, we were playing in a very good Premiership last year, and in my opinion, I think we had 7 like true NCL players that can affect a game, and the rest of them were the lads that were on show today, but it was maybe a bit too soon for them. But they stuck with it, and they showed great commitment and all the support, and everybody stuck with them, and they've all stuck together because they're a real tight knit group. And then we're getting our rewards today, you know, this season. I know that John Paul Brockerman coming back was a big thing for us, although he hasn't played for the last 7 games through injury. But John Paul was like a huge lift to everybody, and when John Paul hasn't been available, we've carried that belief on and that confidence on, and like Christian Tyson, multi-positional player. Like Christian's mostly his best position is fullback, but we actually played him in the half-backs out of necessity. And but Christian, is a Rolls-Royce player. Christian, he wherever you put him, he looks at the number on the back, right, and he fulfills that role, and he's a special player. But yeah, it's we've built something now. And although after 23 years of coaching, this is my last year as a coach, and it was supposed to be last year, but I stuck with it because I didn't want them to feel alone and by themselves after, you know, like we tried to make it that, but it was a negative season last year. You know, they went away, and we've got some like tough games, but I was like kind of cajoled into staying another year, and I felt I owed it to the lads because they stuck right at it last year, and are real fine young men, you know, the principals and that, and they're getting the rewards this year, Dave, and you can mostly tell I'm like proudest bunch of them lads. Absolutely proud.
So this is your last game in charge of Egremont then. So you must be feeling, well, over the moon in one respect, and kind of like quite emotional then in that respect as well.
Yeah, I am. And I kind of a little moment to myself there at the end of the game, and I thought, well, this is it, because however much it frustrates you, and ever much like you kind of your head's in your hands sometimes, and you know, and all the stuff that we do on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you know, at training, and I definitely will miss just being in and around this young group. They definitely try to keep you, like I'm 60 now, but like they definitely keep you young, and but I think it's time for me to step aside now, and we've had 2 young coaches, Charlie Wells and Rhys Davis, helping out for the last 2 years now, and I'd like to think that we've kind of mentored them, you know, to be able to be in a position and to concentrate on what's important, and more importantly what isn't important. Sometimes we can all get our knickers in a twist about things and that we can't control. But yeah, I think we're leaving the club in. I'm leaving the club in good, and I won't be going anywhere. We've put like a subcommittee together now, where we're looking at. We've created a vision, and we've got some big things coming off at Egremont.
So this sounds quite exciting for the future then.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. We're looking at purchasing some land, like creating this. Hopefully, this sporting hub up at Guildford Park, where we'll have like an indoor training facility, and I know it's like, that's phase 1. Phase 2 will include, like, hopefully moving the club up to up to Guildford Park and it'd be all singing, all dancing. And I know the clubhouse that we've got now, it holds a lot of absolute fantastic history and memories for myself, and even players. We won. I remember going back there. We won the National Cup in 1990 as part of the team, and it was absolutely brilliant. But it's quite often now I do look back and I see all these fantastic places. Heworth's one of them. We've got a great setup here. But when we go back to the club and we see that there isn't room, and plus as well because the club isn't at the field. There's like a real busy garage forecourt in front of us. Now sometimes we have 200 kids playing in these little festivals. So logistically it's an absolute nightmare trying to get them up to the field and that safely. And it's all them kind of things. So it was fit for purpose years ago when we played, but maybe not so much now. And there's a lot of things happening on the playing side. We've got 2 girls teams now. We've got all our youth system up, running and playing well and creating that environment where kids want to be there. We don't want them to see a kid when there's training on up at the field. We don't want to see a kid walking on Egremont Main Street. So we've created this great environment for them all to come up, and we want to give them the best facilities so it makes them feel special.
And let's be honest as well, you want people walking around Egremont with Egremont Rangers stuff on and it meaning something to them. Yeah.
Well, you'll have seen today, Dave, there was like a supporters bus that was round full, and there's a lot of supporters on our players bus. A few of them were there because they weren't allowed to drink on the way down, but they came down today, and you'll have seen when you've been up to Egremont yourself, Dave. We've got a great following. The town empties, and it's same at Millom as well. I also think Millom's a wee bit special at a club. Whenever you go down to Millom, it's almost as if like there's nothing else on in the town because everybody goes to the rugby games, and I've got some real good friends at Millom and Kells and Mothbrow and Ensingham, and that's when you come from these little villages, that's what it tends to be like.
But this is also the great thing. It's just, that sums up community rugby league in a nutshell, doesn't it? But it also sums up the friendships that you make. Yeah. In this competition and in the National Conference League. Honestly, I've met some great people. I was head youth coach for 20 years, starting in 2000, and I doubled up doing the assistant coach role for the NCL team from 2012. I had a season taking the A team when they really needed somebody there to, just steady them down a little bit and keep that skill set going, with the focus being on skills and. Because we had like a group of lads that hadn't come through the process, so they needed like a bit of a fast tracking thing. So kind of done every role in the club, and then this last 3 years head coach, and there was a bit of thinking behind that. All the lads knew us, obviously, and they knew the standards that I set, because we knew that there was tough times ahead, especially last year. It needed somebody who that they could kind of latch on to, and not somebody from outside, too. So yeah, it's the club's in a really good place on and off the field, and it's exciting. So me not being there on the coaching, I'm mostly the easiest person to replace. Yeah, that's me trying to be humble, but there's other roles in the club, that I'll certainly be like kind of really pushing forward. Well, John, if there's anything that we can do to continue, keep pushing what you're getting done up at Egremont, please do keep in touch, because it sounds like you've got some fantastic plans in the offing. Yeah,
thanks for that, Dave, and thank you to you guys. We come down to places every other weekend, and whenever I bump into you guys, it's always a pleasure, and you're always offer to do your best for the game. I know that, and you always make us feel welcome wherever we meet up at. So thanks for that.
So John Wells there. I think we had another little exclusive there, didn't we, where he revealed it was his last game in charge of the club.
That's right, yeah.
I'm sure he's told people around Egremont, so they've been well aware for a couple of months, but from an outsider's point of view, I felt quite privileged, and it was really good speaking to him, because there was the passion in his voice, but also the calmness. And I just think if you've got somebody like that that's staying involved at the club, and he's looking to, take on a different role of developing that club further, I couldn't think of anybody better.
Totally agree. Very level-headed. There's no. if there's any histrionics or whatever, he obviously keeps it well bottled in, because he is. I mean, you can imagine he doesn't go overboard when they win, and you can imagine he doesn't sort of really get too down, certainly openly, when they lose. I'm listening to all the things he was saying with regards to the club. Let's step aside from the open ages side at the moment, and all the other things he was saying about the club as a whole, and looking back in the sense like he was, that he's been there that long, and there's that club, what the building wise, all so many memories, but he understands there needs to be a change to bring both their club and the whole of the setup, into the modern era, from a safety point of view, for making it better, from a business point of view as well. Because you can understand, if you've got to keep walking, if you can get your players straight into the changing rooms, and then the spectators who've been watching can go into the club, have a couple of beers, and then the players come in, and there's not a lot of time in between that happening. That's better for the club for getting revenue in, and it makes it better for people coming down and watching, etc. So
because it's interesting, because from where Guildford Park is based, and where the Egremont clubhouse is, there's probably at least a 10-15 minute walk. I mean, I don't know, obviously there's people far more learned than me who's actually made that walk a good number of times, and actually timed it, but I'm just guessing from sort of looking on the maps and sort of doing the old Google Maps, and you can drop your little man down onto the road, and I could see exactly where he was coming from, because right opposite the clubhouse is a busy garage, and he was saying that that's a danger to some of the young kids that they have there. So I completely agree that I admire them, and that they have recognised this, and they're wanting to bring Egremont Rangers into the 21st century. And let's be honest, why not? It is actually a fantastic footprint around Guildford Park, because you've got the cricket club just on the other side of it. So I'm fascinated to see what those plans will look like. But it's really good to hear about those long-term plans, and the fact that they're moving forward, and it's all about keeping that town together, isn't it? Not only that, but the other things he was saying with regards to when he was on about the match, he was, like he said, he's trying to be humble. He is a humble man, and he gives lots of credit in that, that interview to Heworth in that game, and how, it was a competition in the sense of they both battled hard, they both gave the hardest, and he, he appreciated the effort that Heworth had put in as well. Then you go on to the other side of it at the end of the interview. He was on about, I think you said about it being, real community. And when all the teams he mentioned, which are all, names that are all well-known names, yet they're all sort of within short distance of each other, and they all, sort of know somebody who's either players for, or they know somebody on the coaching staff, and they're, sort of, I'm not saying good friends, but they've all got relationships, you know what I mean, and it's a close relationship with regards to Cumbria Rugby League. There's so much respect as well, because I mean, as soon as that result was confirmed, and I'm looking on my Twitter account when I'm sat back in the car, and there's so many congratulatory messages that have been sent away from fans of other clubs, and I'm thinking, hang on, that doesn't happen round here, does it?
No, it's very, very rare. That
certainly not in the professional game.
No.
You don't see sort of like Lee saying, "Well done, Wigan, I'm picking up that win." You don't see St Helens going, "Oh, well done, Lee, I'm picking up," because they're that busy trying to hammer John Asiata, regardless. But
you get that in every week, don't you?
I know, but it just annoys me. He might not play tomorrow anyway, or on Friday when the game's due to take place.
All right. I've heard Derek set up a Just Giving fund, so he can get the lights on at the next home match. Is that correct? There's no Friday lights, no lights at Leigh now.
It was Friday no lights last week, to be fair. 48 minutes and all the power went off. Back to the National Conference League for the time being. So our week actually started, didn't it, over at Saddleworth Rangers. So they defeated Shawcross Sharks by 34 points to 28. We did mention this in passing last show, didn't we? But Wilson scoring a try, Hart grabbing 2, Jeffrey and Holden and Neils grabbing that one right near the end to win it for Saddleworth Rangers.
Great match.
Whitehead kicking 5 goals, and for Shawcross Sharks, Lucas Smith, he scored a try, Frayne grabbed a try, Wright grabbed 3, Stevenson kicked 4 goals. The other game that took place on that evening saw Waterhead Warriors defeat Normanton Knights by 28 points to 24. So the Knights had a couple of tries to cheer from Wilson, 1 from David, 2 from Joe Crossland. Jacob Crossland came up with 2 goals. For the Warriors though, there was a hat-trick from Jensen Hamilton. You don't expect anything less of him these days, do you? So I think that takes him to 23 tries for the season. Some going, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Holland scored 2, and skipper Beech also went over for a try, with Hamilton adding 2 goals as well. And then on Friday evening, your action in Division 3, that saw Driglington defeat Eastmoor Dragons by 34 points to 10. Drigg scoring tries through Broadbent, who grabbed 2, Crotty with 2, Hunter and Makinson the other try scorers, Joe Sanderson kicking 5 goals. While the Dragons, they had try scorers from Upson and Nicholson, Walker kicking their only goal. And on Saturday in the Premier Division, Hunslet are now just 1 win away from getting league leaders yet again. So they defeated Kells by 28 points to 4. McShane, Gale, Dargan, McClelland and Morgan, their try scorers. Gale kicking 4 goals. For Kells, just the lone try from Ainley, who's a decent player, you know he's Ainley, but you go in some if you're going to Hunslet and winning a game. But they remain competitive throughout, did Kells. Another competitive contest happened over at Lee Miners Rangers, so Siddle just got the job done by 28 points to 24. For the Miners, Philbin grabbed 2 tries, Wood and Hewitt got the others, Pilkington kicking 4 goals. Meanwhile for Siddle, Walsh was the standout with a try and 4 goals. Other tries scored by Smithies, McCallum, Walker and Waite. It was a real topsy-turvy affair, that one. A one-sided encounter, perhaps surprisingly so, at Rochdale Mayfield, who accounted for Wharfborough Hornets by 44 points to 12. The highlight of this one was a hat-trick from Dakota Tolhurst. Brilliant name, excellent player. McDade, Gleeson, Travis Long, Tierra and Penkiewicz getting over the try line. Goal split between Ratcliffe, who scored 5, and Tierra, who kicked 1. For the Hornets, the ever-reliable Wetherill scored a try, as did King, with 2 goals to Walker Taylor. But to be fair to the Hornets, they were out of play at half-time, trailing by 18 points to 6. An altogether closer encounter of the Rugby League kind happened over at Thatto Heath Crusaders. They just got over the top of York Acorn by 28 points to 26. So McDade grabbed a couple of tries for the Crusaders. Crean and Saunders went in for 2. Jack Jones kicking 4 goals. Meanwhile for the Acorn, Matt Chilton scoring 2 tries and kicking a goal. Conroy, Dale and Lord also going over for tries, Conroy kicking 2 goals, but it wasn't quite enough, with Thatto Heath Crusaders just being out on top, 28 points to 26. And West Hull had a commanding performance, yet another one. This second half of the season, they've been exemplary.
Too, haven't they? Yeah.
They haven't lost since they were featured in our league. So that was the start of their run. They defeated Hull Dockers back in June.
You're taking credit for that then,
I am. It's nothing to do with Mark Hewitt, and what a superb side that he's got there. It comes down to the Our League coverage. West Hull 32, Lock Lane 8. So West grabbing tries through Watts, Wilson, Silk, Nicholas and Howler. Wilson also kicking 6 goals. Lock Lane were very spirited. They won the other fixture between these two sides, you know, did Lock Lane. Sowerby and Duncan going over for their tries, but ultimately West Hull too strong on the day. Another side that proved too strong in the Premier Division, relegated Wigan St Pat's 50. Also relegated Hull Dockers 4. So Brad Smith, Taylor grabbing 2 tries apiece. Kendrick, Penny, Braddock and Jay Taylor going in for tries, with Brown also following up. Thomas kicking 7 goals. Hull Dockers, they were well served by Harwood, who scored their only try, but ultimately were second best. So what has that done to the league table? Well, we've known for a couple of weeks, haven't we, that Lee Miners Rangers, Wigan St Pats and Hull Dockers, they're on their way down to Division 1. But there has been a little bit of movement at the top end of the table. So I mentioned Hunslet being within 1 victory of getting the league leaders award. West Hull are snapping at their heels, just 2 points behind them, 1 game left. Rochdale Mayfield, we've spoke about them at length this season, haven't we, about what a good year they're having.
Yeah.
They have 32 points, tucked in 3rd position. Loughborough Hornets have lost a little bit of ground over recent weeks with some of the losses that they've sustained, mainly away from their home ground, but they're still 4th and still handily placed with 14 wins and a draw from their 21 fixtures. Thatto Heath Crusaders have risen to 5th. They've got 10 wins and 11 defeats. So what a topsy-turvy season it's been there.
I'd love to know the last time that they had so many defeats in the season.
York Acorn currently in 6th position, but snapping at their heels are Siddle and Lock Lane, who also have 19 points. So it's all coming down to a really interesting end of the season, isn't it? So basically, Kells are in just behind them as well, but basically any one of 3 sides there can still make the playoffs. And to be fair, even that 5th position isn't sewn up yet.
It's still so open. And we've got 2 weeks left, something like that. Just one?
One game remaining in the Premier Division. Also 1 weekend of fixtures remaining in Division 1. So we've already talked at length about Egremont Rangers winning promotion, 26 points to 24 against Heworth. West Bowling have finished, or just about finished, their league campaign on a high, defeating Skirler by 28 points to 24. So Coe, Truman, Darville and Halmshaw and Wright going over for their tries. Coe kicking 4 goals. For Skirler, Morrow, Thompson, Hall and Oliver grabbing touchdowns for them. Gilby kicking 4 goals. But it's a case of so near and yet so far for Skirler. They were 24 points to 6 down at half time against West Bowling and fought back to get within 4 points of them. So that's one heck of a comeback, but not quite getting the job done. Over at Pilkington Rex, we know they're already relegated. They had a try from Morris, a goal from Connick, but that was all they had to cheer. It was really close at half-time this game against Stanningley, though. Only 6 points to 8. Yeah. But Stanningley came out with a renewed vigour in the second half, eventually winning by 42 points to 6. Dyer Dixon on his debut for Stanningley scoring 2 tries, Shires grabbing 2, Richards grabbing 2, Sykes, Parker and Davison grabbing 1 each, Selby kicking 3 goals. If Selby had his kicking boots on, that could have been an awful lot worse, couldn't it, that scoreline? Crossfields had an impressive victory at home against Ulton Raiders. So the Soap, they scored tries through Stevens, who grabbed 2, Steele and Walker also going over. Brad Stanway kicking 5 goals, important in the final analysis.
Good player, Brad Stanway.
He is a good player. When you look at him as well, he doesn't look like a typical rugby player either, but he just gets stuck in, doesn't he? So much so. For the Raiders, they were well served by Lowry, Precious, Jagger and Powell. Walpole kicking 1 goal, but ultimately second best on the day. And then talk about other close encounters of a rugby league kind. Well, the big local derby between Clockface Miners and Ince Rosebridge went the way of Clockface by 20 points to 18. McCartan, Garrity, Hughes and Leyden going in for the Miners. Highcock kicking 2 goals. And Highcock's 2 goals were the all-important stat, to be fair. Bridge getting tries themselves through Key Malone, Boyd and Robbie Valentine. Valentine also kicking 3 goals, but ultimately Clockface getting the job done. What has that done to the table? Well, we know West Bowling are up, we know Egremont Rangers are up, we know Heworth are in the playoffs, we now know that Stanningley will join them in the playoffs. They can't be usurped with 1 game remaining, but beneath that there is still a bit of a scramble, so it's anybody's guess who's going to get the remaining playoff positions. Ulton, Raiders and Skirler currently in pole position, but depending on how results go, we could see Clockface and Crossfields get in there as well, couldn't we? Unbelievably, what an end to the season that we're having. Division 2, Woolston Rovers finally got the job done. They've been on the edge of confirming playoff position for the last couple of weeks, haven't they? Defeats have kind of held them up. They saw tries from Whiteley, Bates, Vernon and Harry Files. Lawton kicking 4 goals. That was their 24 points sorted out. They conceded 14 at Barrow Island. McBain and Ford grabbing their tries. 3 goals from the boot of Sam Jones. But ultimately, what a second half from Woolston Rovers. They overturned a 14-6 deficit to win. And well done to Woolston. Also,
just on that part, and after we've been speaking week after week about what Billy Sheen and Al Alt have been saying about second halves and thinking they've won the match, at least they've come out there in the second half and they've denied the other side to score. So it's the correct mindset to go into any sort of playoffs, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah. And you could say that, when you're up against a side like Barrow Island, who, consistently for the last 2 or 3 years has been in and around those playoff positions, that's a great win, that. And like you were saying before with Heworth, that's like the start of a playoff campaign.
That's
right now, isn't it, to be fair? There was one heck of a battle between Dewsbury Moor Maroons and East Leeds. Dewsbury Moor Maroons winning by 22 points to 20. We knew that they just needed one win to confirm automatic promotion alongside Waterhead, but they're doing it the hard way at the moment, aren't they? They're really putting their coaching staff through it.
What about at half time? It was 12-all.
12-all. So the Maroons getting tries through Sam Butterfield with 2 and Walker also kicking 3 goals. He's the standoff that we saw last time out, isn't he? Really classy campaigner. For East Leeds, they welcome back Littlewood to the side and he scored a try and kicked 4 goals. Russell and Minns also going over. As Steve mentioned, 12-all at half time. It took every ounce of Dewsbury Moor Maroons I suppose process, didn't it, to win that one. 22 points to 20. I love it when you get rugby league similarities. So I said before, Saddleworth Rangers had won their game on Tuesday night by 34 points to 28. They only went to Myton and won by 34 points to 28. Oh. Unbelievable. This time it was the hooker Wilson who scored a hat-trick of tries. Charles, Whitehead and Jeffrey, their try scorers for the Rangers. 5 more goals from the boot of Whitehead. And they did it the hard way as well, because look at that half-time score. Myton Warriors 28, Saddleworth Rangers 10. Yeah. So they scored 24 unanswered points in the second half. What a turnaround that is for Myton. Brilliant in the first. 2 tries from Slater, 1 each from Douglas, Offen and Lee James, with Fisher kicking 4 goals. But the inability to score in the second half was their undoing. But well done to Saddleworth Rangers. Unbelievably, they could qualify for the playoffs yet. We've not looked at the league table, but I'll bring you up to date with that one. Normanton Knights 25, Dewsbury Celtic 20. The Knights scoring tries through Wilson, he grabbed 3. Hinchcliffe scoring the other. Jip Crossland kicking 4 goals and also adding an all-important drop goal. For Dewsbury Celtic, Pat Fulston scored a try. Teal, Clark and Waring also joined him on the try scoring list. Copley, this man that we've been talking about over the course of the season, who I think's destined for higher honours. He's a really good halfback. He kicked 2 goals, but it wasn't enough to win the game for Dewsbury Celtic, who went down to Normanton by 25 points to 20. Shawcross Sharks finally wrapped up their 3rd spot in the league as well, with a comfortable 48-6 defeat of Milford. So there was a couple of tries from Wright. That makes it 5 tries in a week for him. And then other tries from Barker. Ripley, who grabbed a hat-trick. Lister, Ashen and Baines also going over for Paul March's side. Tomlinson kicking 6 goals. For Milford, they had the 1 try to cheer through Gath. That was converted by Payne. Really close game at half-time. Milford trailing by just 14 points to 6, but Shawcross getting the job done in the second half. And Waterhead Warriors lifting the league trophy in style, winning by 34 points to 0 against Wigan St Jude's. Durham mentioned these try scorers. Hamilton with hat-trick. That takes him to 26 tries for the season. And 3 goals as well from the irrepressible fullback. Burns, Joy and Howe with 2 tries also going over for Waterhead. Wigan St Jude's trying their level best, but ultimately Waterhead Warriors, we've spoke about them being a class apart for all season, haven't we? So what has that done to the league table? Well, Waterhead Warriors, 1 defeat all season, 40 league points gained through 20 wins. Dewsbury Moor Maroons have joined them in Division 1 next season with 16 wins, 5 defeats. Shawcross Sharks are in third with 13 wins and a draw from 20 games. Woolston Rovers, they're in fourth, 4 points clear of Wigan St Jude's, who have 20 points. So Wigan St Jude's are fifth with 20 points. Normanton Knights currently sixth with 19 points. Barrow Island seventh, 19 points. Dewsbury Celtic 8th, 18 points. And unbelievably, Saddleworth Rangers 9th with 18 points. I mean, that's some going. That. 2 results for Saddleworth. They're in the playoffs.
Yeah, I was just looking at all those. There's so many permutations that could happen there, because you're looking at some have played 21, some have played 20. But the same as you say, from all the way down from Wigan St Jude's on 20, all the way down to Saddleworth Rangers on 18.
Now there could be something really interesting that happens, because if there's a host of results that go in the way, then we could be seeing a delayed playoff in Division 2, because currently on the first day of the playoffs we've got an outstanding game between Saddleworth Rangers and Mighton Warriors.
But that's going to be interesting, isn't it?
It's going to be absolutely fascinating. Yeah. Really, really fascinating. And then just the one other result from Division 3 to tell you about, and it's a hard-fought win for Seaton Rangers. We've already mentioned they've had their difficulties over the course of the season, but they celebrated a 14-10 win against local team Hensingham. So Walker and Kirkbride going over for the Rangers, Brian kicking 3 goals. For Hensingham, Dalton and Bragg the try scorers, Williamson with the lone goal. They had a bit of a comeback second half to Hensingham. They were 12-0 down at half time, but that all-important goal from Brian just kept Seaton Rangers at arm's length. So your fixtures, as we're going out this evening, Shawcross Sharks are taking on East Leeds, and that's in Division 2. So again, fascinating to see what the result of that one's going to be. On Saturday, in the Premier Division, Hull Dockers are at home to Hunslet. Kells are at home to Thatto Heath Crusaders. Lot Lane are at home to Lee Miners Rangers. Bit of a special mention here, because Lot Lane and Lee Miners Rangers, they're celebrating, I think it's the 40th anniversary of when the two met in the Barla National Cup final.
Oh, right.
So what they've done is they've invited anybody that was a part of either of those sides to the game to be guests of honour.
Excellent.
So if you played in that in that Bartlett National Cup final back in 1983, then both Lot Lane and Lee Miners Rangers want to hear from you, and you can have a right royal afternoon over there at Lot Lane. So do take advantage if you can. We're going to see loads of people say, I played in that game, I played in that game. They'll all be turning up.
It's like the 1966 World Cup final. How many people were at Wembley?
Siddle, I mentioned about them still having a chance of getting in the playoffs. They've got to do it the hard way. They're playing against Rochdale Mayfield. Wharfbrow Hornets are playing against relegated Wigan at St Pat's at home. York Acorn at home to West Hull. Ooh, interesting stuff in the Premier Division. And then your fixtures in Division 1. Innsrose Bridge are at home to West Bowling, so West Bowling will be awarded the trophy after that one. Ulton Raiders are hosting Heworth. Skirler are against Clotface Miners.
That is a cracker, because one's on 20 points and one's on 19 points.
Stanley up against Crossfield, so there's still chance if Crossfields can win that.
Yeah.
And then it's a clash of the two relegated sides as Thornhill Trojans take on Pilkington Rex. In Division 2, some crackers here by the way. Dewsbury Celtic at home to Waterhead Warriors. East Leeds at home to Normanton Knights. Milford up against Mighton. If you want your action from the bottom end of the division. Saddleworth against Barrow Island.
Yeah, that should be a good one.
Oh, I mean, you look at that. I mean, Saddleworth win that, they go to 20 points. That would take them above Barrow Island. That would be amazing. And what a turnaround in a few weeks.
Yeah.
If they can, because we were talking about it looking like it was going to go down to the wire between Saddleworth and Mighton for who was going to stop up.
That's it, right.
But in the space of a week, Saddleworth have won the 2 games, haven't they?
It just shows you from that bottom 3 scenario how close things are. That if you could turn it around and put a couple of games back together, the other teams above you are not that far ahead. Okay, you're looking for a couple of results to possibly go your way, but Saddleworth, I mean, in that respect, they've got it in their own hands where they can drag those people back down to them as well.
Yeah, and Wigan St Jude's aren't comfortable yet, despite sitting in 5th position in the league at the moment. So they're hosting Dewsbury Moor Maroons at the weekend. Woolston Rovers at home against Shawcross Sharks, which is another one that it'll be worth watching. And then your only game that's remaining in Division 3 sees Driglington host Seaton Rangers. Now, a win for Driglington will put them in the playoff position. It will lift them, I should say, to 5th in the league, which would mean that they would have to play against Lee East away in the first round of the playoff. Defeat and it's season done. So that's as stark as it is for Driglington. But it's a fascinating end to the year, isn't it, as far as the National Conference League is concerned?
And that's what we look forward to, isn't it? I think we mentioned it last year, Parky, how the middle of the tables are that tight that there's every game has something on it to a certain degree, which is it's what you want to see, isn't it? I mean, if you can, I've got a chance of getting up, and it's stringing a couple of games together. If that's the way you want to play your rugby, then that is absolutely superb. That is superb.
Shall I go Yorkshire Men's League next, Steve?
You can do, yeah.
So your results that we have, as they have been passed to us from Friday night last week: Milford 14, Stanningley 38. That was in the NCL West. And then action switched over to Saturday. We're in the Yorkshire Men's Premier Division. It was Brighouse Rangers 0, Fryston Warriors 24. Almonry Spartans 14, King Cross Park 20, Siddle Academy 4, Doncaster Tollbar 52. And then Division 1 saw Cutsight Raiders 24, Hull White 0, Charleston Rovers 18, Keighley Albion 24. Looks like an outstanding game there. And in Division 2, Bradford Dudley Hill 50, Illingworth 8, Greatland All Rounders 24, Farnley Falcons 0, Odsal Sedberg 0, Queensbury 24. And then in Division 3, we've got Castleford Panthers 24, Ellen 0, Wyke 40, Methley Warriors 10, Sherburn Burst 12, Birstall Victoria 30, Underbank Rangers 72, Garforth Tigers 22. If you wanted your points on offer, that was the place to go, wasn't it? Underbank at the weekend. In Division 4A, Batley Boys 22, Westgate Common 8 36, Goole Vikings 34, Bramley Buffaloes 34. And Scarborough Pirates 48, Criggleston All Blacks 16. In Division 4B, Brighouse Rangers A0, Birkenshaw Blue Dogs 24, Keighley Albion Academy 56, King Cross Park Academy 4, Newsham Panthers A 58, Todmorden 24. Another one where lots of points were on offer.
Get your money's worth there.
I've got no results from Division 4C. In the whole division, Cottingham Tigers 0, Westall 24, Hull Dockers 0, Skirlet 24. NCL East, Lot Lane 0, Hunslet ARLFC 24. And the NCL West match between Saddleworth Rangers and Dewsbury Moor was unfortunately no result there either. So, as we are going out on air this evening, Division 2 action will see Kirkburton Cougars take on Bradford Dudley Hill. And then on Saturday in the Premier Division, you've got Westgate Common against King Cross Park, Doncaster Tollbar hosting Brighouse Rangers, Almonry Spartans away at Fryston Warriors, Siddle Academy away at Newsham Panthers. And in Division 1, you've got Keighley Albion against Stanley Rangers, Hull Wyke travelling over to Ossett Trinity Tigers, Nottingham Outlaws on the road again, at this time at Charleston Rovers. Division 2 action, Illingworth at home to Greatland All Rounders, Kirkburton Cougars are set to take on the Farnley Falcons, Mould Green meanwhile host Wibsey Warriors, and there's a bit of a Bradford derby as Odsal Sedberg host Bradford Dudley Hill. In Division 3, Garforth Tigers are up against Wyke, Seacroft Sharks are taking on Elland, Birstall Victoria meanwhile they're hosting Underbank Rangers, and Wyke are away at Garforth Tigers. Methley Warriors, they're due to take on Castleford Panthers. I've said that twice, haven't I? The Garforth and Wyke, but never mind. Division 4A, Criggleston All Blacks hosting Batley Boys. Goole Vikings take on the Scarborough Pirates. York St John Barbarians are up against the Bramley Buffaloes. While Division 4B, that pits Todmorden against Birkenshaw Blue Dogs. Yet somehow they're also set to play against Brighouse Rangers on the same day.
It could be a tough day, that one.
Could be a tough day, that. I don't know what's happened with those fixtures, but never mind. West Craven Warriors, they're set to take on Keighley Albion Academy. Division 4C, Rycroft Hammers up against the Dearne Valley Bulldogs. Dodworth Miners away at Upton. In the Hull Division, East Hull are set to take on Myton Warriors. West Hull are up against the Skirler Bulls. And in the NCL East, Honslet ARLFC are set to take on Heworth. Lock Lane travel up to Normanton Knights. And in NCL West, Shawcross Sharks are up against Milford. Saddleworth Rangers up against West Bowling Academy. That is your action summed up from the Yorkshire Men's League.
The Yorkshire Men's League over to the North West Men's League. Saturday the 2nd of September, the Premier Division, Blackbrook 12, Ashton Burst 38. Shevington Sharks, they were over at Isham Atoms, and it was Isham Atoms 22, Shevington Sharks 34. Latchford Albion, they were at home to Alton Farmworth Hornets. It was Latchford Albion 4, Alton Farmworth Hornets 36. We'll have a bit of a match report on that in a little second. And finally in the Premier Division, Orrell St James 56, Hindley 10. So moving on to Division 1, Ulverston 44, Thatterweath Crusaders A 24. Forley Lane got a forfeit from Cadishead Rhinos, so it was 24-0. Salford City Roosters 20, Wigan Spring View 40. West Orton Lions 32, Chorley Panthers 34. That was a close one. And Wigan St Cuthberts, they forfeited, and Dalton got a 24-0 win in that division. Division 2, Ashton Burrs A 22, Rochdale Mayfield A 0. Hindfield Tigers got the forfeit from Lee Miners Rangers A, and that was 24-0. Then we had Newton Storm 8, Goulburn Parkside 18. Now this one I was at Parker, and as I said last week, every time I've seen Newton Storm play Goulburn Parkside, it's always been an intriguing game. It's always been a rough, hard battle. No quarter given or taken. In this instance, it wasn't so much something that went on the actual pitch. Around about the 20-minute mark, Newton put a kick into touch, which was disputed that it had actually gone in or not. There was some banter, I think the word might be, between the players and the touchline. And then the referee came over and red carded one of the supporters of Goulburn. And obviously once that happens, much the same as if it's a player or obviously an official of either side, they're deemed to have to leave the touchline and go away. And I know this happened early on in the season when Newton played Runcorn Highfield, and a similar thing happened to the Runcorn coach. And to his credit, he went away and went over to the changing rooms. In this case, the supporter wouldn't leave the touchline and had been abusive to the referee, and he wouldn't go away. So consequently, on the 20 minutes mark, the referee abandoned the match. Players shook hands. Everybody sort of shrugged their shoulders to find out, who's going to get the points. Whose fault is it, etc., etc. And there was a lot of debate on the pitch. There was officials from both sides on the pitch talking to the referee, along with players, team captains mainly. And then after about a 15-minute break or so and discussion with the referee, he called the game back on, and the game was played. So, and obviously that was the final score. It's a strange one. It's a bit of a quandary in my mind. Looking at the abuse referees have taken, sort of, which has been highlighted in the media of both off the field and obviously on the field. In this case, when he'd abandoned it for the right reason. He was correct. He was totally correct. Whether he should have started the game again in the light of that he's sort of undermining himself, I felt, to a certain degree.
It seems like a really strange thing to do, that, doesn't it? Although he didn't fully trust his convictions, and maybe somebody's had a word that they can't replay this game, or they can't afford the fines that'll no doubt head their way, and that type of stuff. I'd be really interested to sort of see that referee's report on the game.
Yeah, it would be interesting. It was consequently, the game obviously finished quite late. It was a good crowd there from both sides. There was a couple of sin binnings early in the second half. I know both sides were short of players, obviously that time of year, etc. So from a result point of view, there were some young players playing in the Newton side. It was good to have them to step in. And the good thing from Newton, because you know how I bang on about clubs forfeiting games. Yeah. Even though they had, I think it was 14 players that they couldn't call on, they still managed to put 17 players out there, which is a massive credit to them in that respect.
Yeah, fair play to him. I know you were saying about long-lasting games, though. It can't have been as long-lasting as that game I was covering last weekend. Starts on Friday night, only finishes Sunday afternoon. 44 hours after it started.
It was funny because when this happened, the first thing I thought in my head was, just wait till I see Parkinson, I'll tell him about games getting abandoned and getting stopped and started. But the old adage, if anybody says to me that, Luke, once a referee's made his decision, you won't change his mind. In this case, he did.
He did. He started the game up again.
Yeah. So we'll move on. The rest of the results in Division 2. Roost Pioneers, they got the forfeit from Woolston Rovers A, so it's 24-0 there. And probably the big shock this weekend in Division 2, Walney Central 24, Burton Wood Bridge 18.
That's an outstanding result for Walney, isn't it?
It is. Started off the season well, because I saw them play against Newton, first game of the season. And they were a tidy side and they put some results together. Had a little bit of a wobble, but I've always been one of those teams where can overturn anybody, but Burton Bridge have been absolutely flying, so that really does surprise me. So congratulations Walney Central on that one. That is huge, absolutely huge. So moving down into Division 3, and we have got West Bank Bears. They were up against the Blackpool Scorpions. It was West Bank Bears 54, Blackpool Scorpions 6. Langworthy Reds up against Waterhead Warriors A. It was Langworthy Reds 16, Waterhead Warriors A 20. So great win for the Waterhead Warriors there away from home. And Crossfield A, they forfeited the game to Garswood Stags, so that was a 24-0. Division 4, I would have liked to have been at this one, you know. It was Bolton 24, Liverpool Lizards 38. Two great sides, and great to see Liverpool there getting another win, an away win. And the chat we had, if you remember, was it either the beginning of the season or the end of last season, with the people from Liverpool, when they're saying that they felt they'd bit off a bit more than can chew last season, so that's why they stepped down. I think it stood them in good stead. I think they finished either third or fourth in that division, but I've done really well, and hopefully that'll consolidate them well for moving forward. Cultus Eagles up against Banky Bulls, that was postponed, and Runcorn Highfield got the walkover or the forfeit, as we said, to Preston Southwest Ribble Rabbit Holes, who have not been able to complete the fixtures. So moving on, the games for Saturday the 9th of September. Well, the Premier Division is Hindley versus Ashton Bears, Blackbrook versus Isham Atoms, and then we've got Sheffington Sharks up against Latchford Albion. And speaking of Latchford Albion, as I say, a bit of a match report from the game at the weekend when they were up against Alton Farnworth, and a young Albion side went down 36 points to 4 to Alton Farnworth Hornets, and it was their final home game of the year. In line with the league's policy, the hosts tried to rearrange the fixture for a Friday evening, but the request was rejected, meaning 8 of the previous week's 17-man squad were unavailable.
Yeah, I heard a little bit about this because the Warrington season ticket holders, and obviously Warrington were playing against Castleford.
As if they were going to win. Latchford, Warrington, not Latchford.
Oh, they did though, didn't they? They beat Castleford.
66 something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Latchford still fielded a competitive side, no less than 10 players, either 18 or under, highlighting the fantastic job the junior coaching staff are doing. The result was a little bit harsh on the horse given their efforts, but a well-organised Alton side were worthy winners. Albion's sole scorer came from centre Gareth Fairhurst, and coach Martin Ellis said after the game the result wasn't the main thing from Saturday. In defeat, it showed we have a great future at this club. 10 players in this side have played less than 10 open age games, so they gained an invaluable experience to set them up for future seasons. I'd also like to give a lot of credit to my assistant coach Sean Bond, who works primarily with the under-18s, so his knowledge of how we can integrate them at the correct times has been invaluable this season, ensuring the players are ready to step up when required. And you know what, Parkett? That is the correct way to do it. I mean, even though they've lost, like you said, they've had that feeling of knowing what open age rugby is like now, and obviously the type of players and age of players that they are coming up against. So it's the right way to integrate them at the end of the day.
Well, ultimately, you're thinking your squad out as well, aren't you?
Yeah,
and giving these guys a go. And let's be honest, they were never going to make the playoffs. That was never perhaps never an aim this season as far as Latchford were concerned.
Yeah.
It was about consolidating, being competitive, and they've certainly been that for much of the year, haven't they? So they're doing some good stuff there. They have got some fine young players, and I know that with the coaching setup there, they'll get the best.
Yeah,
they'll because the coaching staff really care, and they'll get the best out of them, and they'll get the best experiences too.
Yeah, totally agree. So that's Latchford. As I said, they're up against Shevington Sharks away for their last game. Then we've got.
I believe that's also the Martin Ellis derby, because he used to coach at Shevington.
Ah, did he?
Yeah.
Division 1, Caddisev Rhinos will take on Ulverston. Obviously, whether that one will go ahead, because Caddisev have forfeited quite a few games. Chorley Panthers, they're up against Forley Lane. Salford City Roosters make the long trip to Dalton. And then we have Wigan Spring View. They're up against Wigan St Cuthbert's. Division 2, Ashton Burrs A. They welcome Newton Storm, which will be a really good game as usual. Always a good side to play, Ashton Burrs. But probably in this division, this is probably the game. It's Goulburn Parkside up against Burton Wood Bridge. Currently they are 1 and 2 in the division, and they are only separated by 1 point. And this is going to be one of those that whoever wins will obviously get away from the other. Burton Wood Bridge have got Goulburn Parkside, as we say, they're to play. And then they finally finished their season off against Newton Storm. So that's going to be interesting. So Goulburn, they're up against Burton Wood. And then we've got Lee Miners Rangers A versus Woolston Rovers A. It'd be interesting to see who wins that one. Rochdale Mayfield A, they welcome Highpool Tigers. And the big derby up there in the Barrow, Cumbria area is Walney Central versus Roost Pioneers.
Should be a cracker, that one, shouldn't it?
In Division 3, we've got Clockface Chargers A will take on Blackpool Scorpions. Higginshaw make the trip to Garswood Stags. Waterhead Warriors A, they're going to play Rochdale Hornets. And finally in that division, we've got Westbank Burrs up against Crossfield A. In Division 4, we've got Bankkey Bulls will take on Garswood Stags Reserves. Liverpool Lizards make the journey to Wigan Springview A, and the one that probably won't take place is Culture Eagles against Preston Southwest Ribble Rabbitohs. So that is your roundup of your fixtures for the North West Men's League.
Thanks for that, Steve. I was just thinking as well, because there's probably a lot of stories that we haven't really told over the course of the year. So I mean, how's it looking from like who's potentially finishing top and second place, and where's that sort of taking us as far as these competitions are concerned?
Well, from a Premier point of view, if you remember, Finch were basically topping the table with a couple of other teams, Oddle St James and Ashton, on the tails, but it looked as though Finch were going to probably finish out the top. Well, that's took a bit of a twist, because Ashton are now top with 26 points, Finch are second with 25, and it looks as though Ashton are probably in the box seats. They've got 2 games left. They've got Hindley at home, and then they've got Oddle St James away, which will be a tough one. But Finch have only got the 1 game left, and that's on the 16th, so that's a couple of weeks away.
So they can almost sit back, see what else happens, and then they've got to get themselves up for that game, haven't they?
And that's against the Isham Atoms.
Okay.
So that should be a good one. In the second division, again, we've got 3 teams sort of vying for positions there. At the top currently we've got Foley Lane on 26 points. They've got 2 games left. Wigan Springview just behind on 25. Again, they've got 2 games left. And just behind them on 23 points is Dalton, who again they've got 23 points.
So that suggests quite a tight finish to the season there as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, which is great to see. Unfortunately, my computer's frozen at the moment, so we can't get any further down the page.
Okay.
So.
Perhaps come back to you on that, to
yeah.
be honest, but from elsewhere we have the Furnace Tiles Top 4 final coming up this Friday evening. Millham taking on Ulverston at Craven Park. Your results from the Southern Conference, just a few to tell you about. So Bedford Tigers 12, North Hearts Crusaders 16, and then Hammersmith Hills Hoist against the London Chargers. I've not got a result for that. Brentwood Eels 68, Bristol All Golds 0, West Warriors 36, Eastern Rhinos 12. We have Championship semi-finals to look forward to from the Southern Conference this weekend, as West Warriors host Brentwood Eels and the Hammersmith Hills Hoist are at home against the London Chargers. And let me have a look and see whether there's any others that I haven't mentioned. I didn't actually mention the fixtures this week in the Cumbrian Holman Eagleson Cumberland League.
Fire away, Packer.
We mentioned the results, but not the fixtures, so apologies there. So on Friday evening, it's Egremont Rangers A due to play against Lauca, LMB Rangers A up against Hensingham A, and on Saturday, Dissington up against Glasson Rangers. I might have a story or two from that one next week. Maryport at home against Cockermouth Titans.
Right. Getting back to the Northwest Men's, obviously the Wi-Fi now lets me move further down the page. Technology, don't you love it? Right, so we've been on about Foley Lane and Wigan Springview and Dalton. Now we move down into that, obviously the Burton Wood Bridge Goulburn into the second division. As I say, they both meet each other this Saturday at Goulburn. Then Burton Wood, the away match following that is against Newton Storm the home match to complete the season is Newton Storm, as I say. Goulburn Parkside, well, theirs is a trip away to Hindpool Tigers. But depending on the way the game goes, Goulburn Parkside against Burton Wood, it's going to be interesting, because obviously if Goulburn can turn Burton Wood over, then that game against Hindpool Tigers is going to be, and plus the Newton Storm one, because I'm sure a Newton versus Burton Wood Bridge is a real, there's a couple of miles between the actual clubs. A lot of the players know each other. I know some of the Newton players have actually played for Burton Wood Bridge in the past, so it puts that little tasty edge to the end of the season, ready for the playoffs. Then we move down into Division 3. West Bank Boroughs, Egginshaw and Waterhead Warriors A are probably the three, but the top two, West Bank Boroughs are on 24. They've got 2 games left. Higginshaw, they're on 22. But they've only got 1 game left. So West Bank Boroughs, they will play Crossfields A at home, which will probably be, I'd be very surprised, because I know Crossfield have forfeited quite a few games, so that could be a 2 points for them. Be interesting to see how things go there. Higginshaw, the final game is against Garswood Stags away, and that's this weekend. West Bank Burrs' last game of the season is against Langworthy Reds, so it looks as though West Bank Burrs will tie that one up. Of course, down in Division 4, Waterhead Warriors A won that division quite comfortably. In Division 4, Runcorn Highfield won that division quite comfortably, just ahead of Banky Bulls, but they were nip and tuck for a little while. Got to say a big congratulations to them. A lot of it going down to the wire, leading up to the playoffs coming up very, very shortly.
Going to be interesting, those playoffs when they eventually arrive, isn't it? You know, for both Yorkshire men's and Northwest men's as well. Community Lions. Okay, so they were in action at the weekend, and it was both the under-16s and the under-18s. You mentioned about watching Newton play against Goulburn. Well, these games were played at Goulburn Parkside. There was a little bit of a delay because there was coach trouble as far as Ireland were concerned, but they got there in the end. And I've got to say, they did extremely well. Fantastic result, actually. I'm going to start with the under-18s results. So Ireland permitted to play an under-19 side against the Community Lions under-18s, but don't be fooled, because they came out with a fantastic win by 26 points to 24, did the Irish, and they went 18-0 in front as well. So they scored after 12 minutes. A kick from Thomas Ashurst was picked up by Oliver Whitford, who played a starring role to the Irish fullback, scored a hat-trick in the end. He grounded it emphatically ahead of a Community Lions player. Then the same combination worked 5 minutes later. Again, kick up in the air from Ashurst, converted into a try from Oliver Whitford. Ashurst added both those goals to make it 12 points to 0. And then after 31 minutes, Ireland had an attacking scrum 30 metres out from the line, quickly got the ball out to the right hand side. Stephen Cahill going in for the important score with a third goal from Thomas Ashurst, 18 points to 0. A couple of minutes later, and the Lions were on the board finally. Daniel Knott touching down. This was after a great run from Devon Sharp, and Harry Sheridan supporting as well in that one. The conversion was good as well from the conversion was good as well to make it 18 points to 6. And then in the second half, 5 minutes into the new half, Ireland had a penalty, bang in front. Community Lions caught offside. That was converted and sent goalward by Thomas Ashurst yet again. Then we saw something of a fight back, to be honest, from the Lions. So it was all started by the excellent front rower Greers, and next thing you know, Metcalf is touching down, the Rochdale Mayfield youngster. That was converted as well to make it 20 points to 12. Then there was an individual try from George Jameson, the standoff, who was also the goal kicker as well for the Lions. So he zipped his way through the middle from 20 metres. Lovely bit of footwork on him as well, to be fair, because every time I've seen the video back 2 or 3 times of this try, to be honest, Steve, and he looks like he's going to get caught on each occasion when I've watched it, and suddenly there's like a little almost Elvis Presley wiggle of the hips, and he's through a gap. Unbelievable score there from Jameson. He kicks the third goal, 20 points to 18. You're thinking, wow, this is going to be really close. What a close finish we're in for here. So that try came after 60 minutes. There's still 20 minutes remaining, by the way, at this stage. Then, who else but Matt Cahill breaking the line for Ireland, getting the offload going. Oliver Whitford crossing for his hat-trick score. It was a real classy performance from the Irish fullback. The conversion once again good from Ashurst to stretch the advantage to 26 points to 18. And then, like the game I was at, to be honest, you saw the final try go the way of the hosts, but it wasn't quite enough to win the game. That came after Ireland's Jake Parks was, and England took advantage with Armand Joseph Palinkas going in for a try. That was goaled again by Jameson, but ultimately Ireland deserving of their victory, winning by 26 points to 24. Steve, an outstanding result for them.
Yeah, it's great that the home nations are getting competitive games in this.
It was an intense game. It was an intense game this as well, to be honest.
Yeah. And is that the right thing to be playing a team that's older than you, though? That's a question that's going to be asked.
Well, you mean you could do, but what do you learn if you play a load of play? Realistically, what do you learn if you win by 40 points?
Yeah,
at international level,
agree.
You want a test match, don't you? You want to be tested. You want to come up against it. And let's be honest, with the record that the French have of big players.
Well, yeah, we've mentioned this before, haven't we?
Obviously, you go up against them in the under-19s championship. There's a longer game being played here as far as the England Community Lions are concerned, because particularly this age group, the under-18s, a lot of these guys are in the shop window for going to the European Championships next season and looking to follow up and see whether they can do what the team did last year. And they're going to find it tough. So they're going to come up against opponents that are bigger than them at times, where they've got to score different ways. They can't just rely on power all the time. You've got to do something a little bit different. So I praise them in a way. Yeah. And this was something of a mixed side as far as the England Community Lions were concerned as well, because there was 4 players that also playing in the under-17s internationals against France earlier on in the season. So it's good to bring those younger players in, expose them to this sort of level of rugby league, and see how they get on. And I think it will make them better players, but take absolutely nothing away from Ireland. They were brilliant, and they have got a few players that I think will step on and move further in the sport. So I mentioned Whitford, for example. He's on an under-19s Super League contract. So there's already some of the players that are in decent setups, at the likes of London Broncos, at the likes of Salford as well. They've got a couple, Huddersfield and Leeds, and don't get me wrong, there's some good promising young Irish lads there as well, who have been doing the jobs for Longhorns, for example, and there's a couple of useful wingers as well that look the business. So, I think I'm with you. I wouldn't question it in quite the way. I know there seemed to be a bit of an amazed outcry on Twitter as the result sort of came through. And perhaps you don't expect to lose these games, but then again, you're taking credit away from an opposition that played some damn fine rugby league and had the game's most outstanding player in the fullback Whitford. Yeah.
The other thing is as well, what's the criteria for being picked for whatever age group? For instance, we're talking under 18s.
Yeah.
When it says under 18s, is that basically if you're 16-year-old and you're good enough, can you qualify to be picked?
If you've trialled, so basically the
so you can be put forward to be trialled.
You can be put forward, I mean, no doubt. There's probably 120, 130 players that have been looked at in this whole process.
Yeah.
I remember doing a bit of a filming role actually. Earlier on in the season at Pilks, there was 6 teams of kids that were all playing against each other to get picked in the under-18s. Now we've had the fortune of also having under-17s as well, and this being a young group, so there's a lot of players that interchange because they're of that. There's more of them in the younger age group than there is in the 18s. They can still represent the younger age group, but to me that's good, because it means you're not relying on players, because let's be honest, if they're playing an under-19 team at Ireland, none of them can play next year in the under-19 championship because they're already 19, whereas there's some You know, there's a lot of those lads that will go on and be able to represent England and Community Lions next time. So there's a longer, there's a longer game being played. There's a bigger picture.
And my next point on that was going to be, well, surely that is a template for all the home nations, especially to take on board. So they, are in a similar sort of position as England for following seasons to have good competitive games.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go further with that, because I've had the pleasure of having a chat with Paul Berry, who's over Wales under 16s, and he works out every year where he picks about half of the squad who would actually play under 15s rugby. So he does that so that he has them together for 2 years. So that he has half a squad. So he's not having to find
sort of
40 players every single time. Not that there isn't the players that are playing the rugby league.
No, but you've got to identify them, haven't you?
And you're identifying them, and it's talent spotting. And don't get me wrong, with the way that certainly Wales Rugby League has its has its links with Salford. It means that some of those best kids can actually go into Salford's setup and have a look, and then they get looked after even more potentially. So it's a way forward. But I think crucially, the other home nations haven't had the same sort of investment, and that's taking nothing away.
But that was another thing I was going to say as well. Comes at a cost, doesn't it?
The Lions can go out and they can trial 150 kids, and easily trial 150 kids each and every year for whatever age group. So for under 16s, for under 18s, it comes a little bit harder, shall we say, for some of the other nations. So you get Scotland, who are looking at a lot of guys who are maybe on grandparent rules and that type of thing. You look at Ireland, and there's a bit of a mix, although Ireland do have a pathways programme, and I want to come to them because the under 16s also had a notable result against the Community Lions at the weekend, and this one for me does deserve shouting from the rooftops. So Ireland played their first ever under 16s game at Goulburn Parkside against England Community Lions and came away with a credible 18-all draw. The visitors took the lead after 5 minutes, and we're talking about fullbacks again. So they had another outstanding fullback, did the Irish here, Deacon Connolly. He forced a dropout, and from the resulting possession, Luke Fisher blasted over between the posts. I've watched the video. He rampages over us, this prop. He gets the ball 10 metres out, and woe betide anyone that got in his way. He was always scoring that try. The Community Lions responded quickly when Zach Mannion made a heap of metres to go inside the 20, and Stanley Beaumont, Jack Bybee and Lloyd Staton all combined before Lewis Pillin got Cian Goodhand over. He managed to step over out wide. Tyler Sykes couldn't convert. Ireland were industrious and had a bit of class about them, and extended their advantage to 12 points to 4 when Connolly burst through the middle and Elliot Fox, his halfback, was on his shoulder to finish from halfway. Coop gold once more. The Lions finished the first half strongly with back-to-back scores. The first went the way of Alex Golightly following a superb ball from Nate Parker. Sykes' conversion attempt struck the posts. Then from the restart, England took 3 big carries before exciting link-up play between Pillin and Leighton Dockery led to Goodhand galloping through from 30 metres. Again, Sykes couldn't goal, and the game was locked at 12 points each at half-time. 6 minutes into the new half, England Community Lions hit the front for the first time when smart hands on the right from Parker and Golightly paved the way for Diego Walker to dive in at the corner.
What a name.
And a superb goal from Dockery opened the game to 18-12. Ireland continued to test the Lions, and they spied their chance when Jaden Aaron was sin-binned for a foul in a tackle. After driving close to the line, a quick play of the ball and superb reactions saw Seamus Knight dive over for the score, and Coop levelled matters with the goal. The Lions replied gamely and had a final chance of claiming the win at the end, but Nate Parker couldn't get his field goal attempt away cleanly and could only watch as it spooned wide of the posts, allowing Ireland to clear their lines and take the draw. Brilliant game this, 18 points each, and again, I'm full of credit for these Irish lads, but fair play to England Community Lions as well, because they made it tough.
Yeah.
They had a tough one there, getting themselves back in the game at certain points.
Yeah, and those 2 results are good for the game for both of those sides, aren't they? You know, moving forward, because like we've just been saying, Ireland now have got a full team that can step up next season into, you know, the under 18s, who will have, you know, some mileage under the belt from an international point of view, and hopefully when they move on next season, there'll be more to come in for this under 16s, which is, you see, because the impression, whether I'm right or wrong here, but the impression I've sort of got in the past of these types of tournaments is guys will be picked to play for internationals, etc.
Yeah.
And then the following year, it's like as though they've rubbed the slate clean.
Yeah.
And like, oh, who we're going to play, rather than saying, well, you know, exactly the same as any international squad is. You know who your teams who played previously, who were still in form, who were the ones, you know, can we get back, and who were the ones we like, you know, because they're good. Like we've always said, it's not just about playing, it's about being a, you know, part of a squad and being away from your home, and how do you manage that type of thing. You know, who were the players available, you know, who we could get back for that. And this structure now seems to be the right thing forward.
Yeah, I mean, players come into the under-16s, first of all. That's where they first get identified, you know. Some of those players then don't move on and don't get in other squads. But there's loads of players that have gone through the ranks as well, you know, that have played for England, Community Lions in particular, under-16s, under-18s, under-20s, under-23s.
Yeah.
We're going to see it this year. We're going to see it, you know, as we move into the autumn, and you know, the Community Lions have 2 under-23s games.
They should be good.
You know, which against Ireland, going over to play against the Ireland club side, and they had an interesting result with the Ireland clubs, because they narrowly went down to defeat to the prison service at the weekend. So, you know, I'm confident that, you know, we'll see some good competition. And then you've got, at the moment, you've got the Welsh Dragonheart set up, all coming together. Now they're playing the Wales Origin games at the moment. So I had the pleasure to write a match report and see the first game, which saw the North Wales Origin side defeat East of Wales by I think it was 60 points to 4. Bit of a resounding victory there. But they use that Origin series, where there's also West Wales involved, of who they're going to pick from an open age point of view to play against the, you know, Community Lions under 23s. Because as I said, if you were to send the strongest team every single time, you would learn absolutely nothing, and you could do more harm than good to these developing nations. That, you know, because I want more players playing rugby league. I want more teams, you know, getting out there. I think it's important but I also young men that have gone through the Lions programme. That have represented England, that have made friends for life. They've had experiences that no one will ever take away from them. You know, I mean, I don't mind saying, but you know, Monday marked a year since Gary McMahon died.
I was going to mention that. That's absolutely flew, wasn't it?
And you know, like I put a bit of a press release story together, and it's hard writing that stuff. But again, there was that we had from last year, and it was nice to see the names cropping up again, you know, of the lads sort of getting involved in the chat and sharing the memories and sharing the thoughts, and that's what's important. You know, I think sometimes we almost lose sight because of, you know, we love rugby league and we see 80 minutes of it each and every week, and in some cases I might see 3 lots of 80 minutes in a week, and sometimes you can lose track of the human side of it. And I think the human side is worthwhile celebrating. It's worthwhile, you know, talking about. And that's one of the reasons why I thoroughly believe in this show, because we can bring some of those characters to life, can't we? They get the chance to have a say at times. Well, we speak to people, don't we, every single week, and you think, wow, that was a really good interview. You know, we heard from John today with regards to what he's got going on at Egremont, and you know, the fact that there's so many other things, and he's like the dad of the club, really, isn't he? But how else would I get to speak with someone like John who can offer so much? And so this is why I think the human side of rugby league doesn't get talked about and doesn't get pushed as much as it should do, perhaps.
No, I totally agree. And same as I say, I'd spoke to John in the past just by chance, and obviously I spoke to him again about the game at Clotface, but we chatted on at length about other things as well. Absolutely great bloke, and like I said when you were going up there, I said obviously he's a great guy. He's absolutely, and listening to that interview, it just took me back to me doing that interview at Clotface. Like you said,
this book England Community Lions segment for this particular show is the fact that the England Community Lionesses, they'll break new ground next month. They'll go on their inaugural tour and they're off to Serbia. I'm happy to say that I'm going to be alongside and getting out there. So I'll be hoping to bring a couple of tales from tour and to speak to some of the girls while we're out there, to get some of the backgrounds, because again, talking about the human side and how that's important.
So what age group is that, Parker?
So this is an open age setup.
Ah, right.
Yeah, so it's an open age setup. So they're going to play 2 games against the Serbian national side. So they're going to take place on Sunday, October the 8th, and Saturday, October the 14th. Now they're coached by Pete Grayburn, who we heard from the other week. He was actually the schools coach for the winning Hull side.
Yeah.
And he's going to be assisted by Jack Coates and Martina Greenwood, and there's 20 players that are going across there. So 5 of which are from Sheffield Eagles. Hull KR and Stanningley supply 3 each. 2 come from newly crowned Women's Super League South champions London Broncos, 2 also from Dewsbury Moor and Thatto Heath Crusaders, meanwhile Swinton Lionesses, Bedford Tigers and Leamington Royals are also represented. Now this follows a selection process that began with 140 nominations, so these 20 girls have made their way through. The squad in full is Claire Fisher, Sarah Palmer, Lisa Parker, Agnes Wood and Victoria Thomas from Sheffield Eagles, Tilly Davis, Lauren Exley, Chloe Wainwright-Morley from Stanningley, Alaya Brewster, Lois Brown and Carla Nolan, all of Hull KR, Sue Newman and Sophie Messams from London Broncos, Faye Barraclough and Nancy Hurst of Dewsbury Moor, Olivia Argent and Arabella Reid of Thatto Heath Crusaders, Mia Jane Atherton from Swinton Lionesses, Nicola Gross and Sophie Henry from Bedford Tigers and Leamington Royals respectively. Now Atherton, Brown, Gross and Newman, they were all in the side last time round when the England Community Lionesses played. That was when they took on some of the best young talent in the country, the England D's programme, and defeated them by 22 points to 18 earlier this year.
Close game.
So I'm looking forward to this, and I'm looking forward to finding out a little bit more about each of these girls' stories, just how they've got in rugby league.
Yeah.
And also, what's the journey been?
Yeah.
That's going to be the fascinating thing for me.
Yeah.
So it's a great honour for me to get across there to Serbia.
Do you know what that's going to be good for Parky? Comparing and contrasting their journey compared to the sort of like counterparts who you've had the same interviews with from the male side of things.
Yeah, and it is because up until the last few years, there's a big gap, isn't there, between when girls are regularly playing rugby league and when they come back.
That's right.
Usually to open age. So there's this huge gap, isn't there, between why all the age groups are 12, 14, 16 that they're setting up for the women's teams and the girls' teams in schools, and it's because there's a lack of those dedicated teams, isn't there? And don't get me wrong, there's been a huge explosion, and I'm hoping that these girls that get to represent the Lionesses, they'll do a tremendous job.
Yeah,
they'll take it back to the clubs and get people talking about the programme yet again.
And no disrespect to the lads, but the girls are very good at that, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? Certainly, and you've only got to look from the Super League point of view. When you see games finish, I mean, they're straight over to the crowd, they're having photos taken, they're signing shirts and everything like that, and that filters down to the community sides as well, where that's that same enthusiasm by the kids that are watching, the parents who are there. It's no different in that respect, because like I say, there's no rubbish in and around it.
No.
You know, you get a pure, clean version of the game, and what, again, I've said this in the past. What the RFL have got to be careful of is not letting those things that they know that have happened in the past in the men's game filter into the women's game, because it's the old happening. Anything that's, you know, you can see on the horizon that's happened before, that hang on, this looks as though it may be coming into the women's or girls' game. Let's sort it out, then we can keep this product as we got it at the moment. Because like you say, it's just gone with a bang, and it's been absolutely superb. It really has. I mean, if you're a broadcaster, if you're somebody who wants to, if you want to own a business, etc., it's a perfect vehicle for you to sponsor, and because I mean the amount of people that it gets, the type of people that it gets watching it and be involved in it, it's, you know, it's.
I'm glad you've mentioned this, actually.
10, isn't it?
I'm glad you've mentioned this, because I am aware that you know, certainly there is still some personal sponsorships that are available for each of those touring party members as well. So you know, by all means, get in touch with the Lions programme on Twitter, and we'll try and get you in touch with the with the girls who are.
I mean, it's an opportunity for them. A lot of them, it'll be an opportunity in life if you can support them in any way, shape or form. Please do. If either get in touch with the RFL or get in touch with us, and we can point you in the right direction.
So I don't think I've missed anything out this time round, have I, Steve?
I don't think you have, Parky. I think you've covered everything.
We certainly have tried our very best to cover absolutely everything that's gone on a rugby league field, a community ground, and we've got more to come between now and the end of the season. Wherever you're at your rugby league this weekend, go and enjoy it, and if you can spare us a few lines, then by all means send it to us. You can get in touch with us both on Twitter. I'm at Dave Parkinson RL. I'd love to hear from you, and wherever you're going, we'll give you a mention next week. But wherever your travels take you, enjoy, and we'll be back again to do it all again next time round.
That's